to another Schematics, mental toughness, download, super powered, super intelligent, for those who are into the steady pursuit and commitment of telling the truth, doing the right thing, building mental toughness and inner metaphysical strength to where you're able to do this no matter what the challenge or cost to you. True valiance. Yes, we are bringing that word back. And I have a action-packed presentation where I go to the smarter than me old schoolers that can help me become wiser, because I'm cognated for learning and seeing further, standing on the shoulders of greats. But let's just go ahead and listen to what Langan, a man who has scored IQ of 200 when Isaac Newton scored 190, says about the existence of God.
Langan begins with a fundamental insight about reality itself. For reality to exist at all, it must have an identity, something that defines what it is. This identity isn't just a philosophical concept, but a logical necessity. This forms the foundation of his proof for God's existence.
I'm smiling because your answer on this is so beautiful. It just reminds me of Moses at the burning bush. And Moses at the burning bush says, "Who shall I tell the people that you are?" Talking to God. He says, "Tell them I am that I am."
That's right.
I am identity itself. I'm being himself.
That's exactly right. That's what the CTMU says. It just comes up with the mathematical structure that you need to build a reality out of that. You see? So you come up with that identity and then you search it for its properties. You see, once you've built the preliminary framework, then you start deducing the properties of this identity, and you find out that those properties match those of God as described in most of the world's major religions.
This connection to the biblical I am isn't coincidental. When we use I am statements or affirmations, we're tapping into this same fundamental principle of identity. Langan's mathematical model suggests that God as the ultimate identity isn't just religious symbolism, but a logical foundation of existence itself.
God definitely has properties of the central substance and central principle of reality. Those properties are attributed to God, including, of course, things like you have the three O's: omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence, but then you've also got consciousness. God has to be sentient. What is the universe?
Damned if I know.
You ever hear of the simulation hypothesis?
Yes.
Okay, well, the simulation hypothesis is basically the idea that the reality we see around us, physical reality, is simulated on some sort of an automaton or a computer.
What do you mean? I hate to put it in...
Well, I mean, okay, here's the display. You realize the display contains states.
Yep.
Okay, you see things, the objects contain it. States are static.
Yep.
That's why they're called states. Yeah. Okay, static. How do they change? Well, they have to be processed. Something has to process.
Yeah.
What makes Langan's argument so powerful is that it doesn't start with religious premises. He begins with the logical requirements for reality to exist and function. When he examines what properties this fundamental identity must have, he finds they match precisely with traditional descriptions of God: all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present, and crucially conscious. Langan uses the simulation analogy to illustrate a profound point. Reality consists of both what we experience, the display, and the underlying processes that allow change and coherence. For reality to function, something must process these changes over time.
It's basically the product of a mapping. God maps himself into each human being, right? That's a very personal thing that God is doing for us, right?
Here Langan completes his logical argument. Our existence as conscious beings who maintain coherence through constant change requires this divine processor. And And far from being distant or impersonal, this God creates us as reflections or mappings of itself. This 200 IQ perspective bridges the gap between cold logic and spiritual meaning, suggesting that God's existence is both rationally necessary and deeply personal.
The thing I really like about this particular video is this sole opinion redid it, right? So we're the wheel on top of the, we're putting spokes together, we're combining information. This is the real direction that we need to go, and we need to go ahead and let the pride, I need to own it all, unable to work as a team, and now it's most important. Now it's definitely the immediate challenge for man, not just to get behind God, but as God tells us, to love thy brother as thyself, right? And just to start to come together as this integral steel. Unity makes strength. Now this guy is a incredible biblical expert, and he's been covered on everybody from Rogan to whatever, but I have it queued up right here where he gives a further or a more spiritual sided explanation of this same identity thing. See, we all came with God's identity. It's whether we can hold on to it or not. It's whether the devil's able to distract us or deceive us out of that, right? And, as a best mastermind, maestro, which is the second chapter of Think and Grow Rich, which is the book after Outwitting the Devil, by Napoleon Hill, both of those. Okay, and it's whether or not you could be drifted, distracted into something else.
You rejected me, your will be done. I'm going to give you what you want. In that, I'm going to remove my grace and mercy from you, and you are going to experience truly what you desire in being separated from me and my goodness and my grace.
And what is that place like according to the scripture? Give me a depiction in my mind of what hell might be like for me.
Yeah, it's not a good place. It's not a nice place. It's a place that no matter what's going on, if you are a believer, if you truly understand what this book is saying, seriously, I think it should motivate you to want to desire. Stephen Bartlett, I desire you to have a personal relationship with your Creator, because I don't want you to experience whatever hell is. I desire for you to be in perfect relationship with your God. Not necessarily because I want you to get out of hell free card, but because I actually think that in living how God created you to be, in accepting living out the image that you bear, you're going to find the meaning and purpose that you ultimately have expressed that you have this innate desire for.
I think it's according to Gallup, it's 18% of Americans don't believe in a God. Now, to get into heaven, as it's described in the Bible, do I just need to say I believe in God, or do I have to have some sort of active commitment and evidence in my life that I am living my life in line with God's, teachings?
I think ultimately salvation, right? Salvation implies you're being saved from something, right? The good news is good news because the bad news is bad.
And the bad news is very bad. I was looking at what the Bible says about hell, and in Revelations it says it's a lake of fire. In Mark it says it's unquenchable fire. In Matthew it says eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.
Yeah.
In Matthew again it says outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yes.
They will be shut out from the presence of the Lord, weeping and gnashing of teeth, in torment, eternal punishment. The smoke of their torment rises forever. This is not a place I want to go.
No. And I think the urgency of the Christian message is the bad news is really bad. And that's what makes the good news so good.
Just so happens I can chime in here. Why would you even consider that direction when there is so much beauty going the other cultivational way?
Jesus has taken on that hell on your behalf. And it goes beyond simply a believing, right? It's not just about saying the right words. It's not just an incantation. You are not saved by what you do, right? You're saved by works. It's just Jesus's. Jesus lived the life you couldn't and made the sacrifice you can't on your behalf in order to establish that right relationship with God. So that's where grace comes into the picture. Justice is getting what you do deserve. Mercy is not getting what you do deserve. Grace is getting what you don't deserve. So, insofar as Christ on the cross fulfills the justice of his holy law, mercy is enacted, and you don't get that punishment by putting your faith and trust in Jesus as your Lord and your Savior, as your Creator. You don't get that punishment. And now you get grace, which is not what you're owed, but you are adopted as a child of the Most High.
I definitely look more into each of these personalities I'm sharing. Chris Langan reiterates what was just said about fall from grace. Let me share with you. He says, if you do fall from grace, which you do deny, reject, or, go against God, which I did after I had completely committed to him, unbelievably. If people will know and their testimonies may come out in the future, there's a bad breaking series. I'll put the links below where we're doing some true storytelling. But I had hardcore committed to God. And then after a kidnapping had happened, a really horrible tragedy had happened, I cursed God, and boy, did I take the fall. You can look up Chris Langan talking more about his TOE and telesis and many other really valuable points, to include how hard it is and how long you will be knocking back on that door should you reject God. In my particular instance, I remember looking up F you, da 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 da, and I could feel an angelic presence leave. And I took the fall for years. I had to go to the jungle for years to recover from the fall. Thank God I did. So many people in my situation have graduated, including one of the guys from two of the guys from our morning mastermind. And you can find me at Brandon Angel Fitness on Instagram and join that morning accountability mastermind. Let me tell you real quick about also these nutritional diversity supplements. Our sponsor, this CoQ10 is really great. Model no brainer. All of us should be doing this. No bad oils, guys. Olive oil, coconut oil going forward. That's really it. I guess the avocado oil seems okay. These cold pressed. So here's our ashwagandha. And look, I take multiple, ashwagandha's steady. I don't have anything to do with finding, I don't even know what the source of this is. All I know is I've been taking it for 2 weeks, and this ashwagandha that we have from our sponsor is tough. Some other stuff that I take, Tongaraye, my man, the killer, the other James Bond put me onto this. And yeah, all right, moving right along. All right, now here's the next very important clip, and here's another guy I really pay attention to, Jim Brewer, especially on Instagram, man. He's had some real incredible message, soulful individual, smart, worldly.
Bibilu, when he said Jesus is nothing compared to the evil guy, because evil's ruthless and blah blah blah. And A statement like that from a human being in that position, in my opinion, is the most coward statement you can ever make as a human. Because you're cowardly to not praise love, inspiration, and not believe that you can conquer all with the power of love and light. I've seen it with my own two eyes. People that are drug addicts, people that have murdered, people that would kill, people that would hate, people that were Satanists have been saved through finding God, the love of Jesus. And to say that statement because you don't have that courage. It is so easy to be evil. It is so easy to complain. It is so easy to be violent. It is so easy to criticize. It is so easy to claim you're a victim over and over again. A real man with real godly strength and power knows that the power of love, the power of God, the power of Jesus can heal all, inspire all, and conquer all. And the fact that any human being in power, you know, people in our so-called leaders, they never preach love and God. Never hear it. Never hear real love, God inspiring stories. They preach war. They preach hate. They preach judgment. They preach bombing. Why we gotta bomb? They try to convince you why we have to murder people we've never met, we've never talked to, we know nothing about except for what they want to show us. To me, that's pure demonic evil, and it's coward. You're a coward. That was a horribly coward statement from a man that runs an entire country. And anyone that backs that statement it's cowardly. You don't have the power within you to stop for the amount of money and power you use because you want another country, you want to bomb people, you want to defend yourself or claim that you're a victim.
Okay, I'm going to chime in here. The ghost of me is going to chime in here on this standard camera, straightforward stuff. You know what would have made this whole thing make sense? If the intention was there. I'm always telling in all my videos, intentions are everything, they truly are. If there was good intentions here, some alternative idea like move everyone who's suffering hardship in that area, ridden with conflict, malnutrition, etc., etc., move them to Venezuela, invest in working all over the place. We have thousands of examples now of working permaculture that can be expanded to grand scale, that can produce excellent health and sustainability biopower. It is 2026, right? These sites, and there's a pamphlet below called Complete Optimization that gives all the watershed specs to everything, to distance away from each other, to sustainable living encampment size, etc., etc. Why couldn't we? I mean, I'm sure it would have been a fraction of the cost to offer alternative freedoms, freedom enhancements, new options and opportunities, at least to the people who would want to do that, you know, and great world benefit. Like what? There's no creative people that have any kind of relationship with nature. Oh wait, they're just all acting mouth servicers. There's really no merit there. You know, all these intrinsic character, soul, values, intentions are very important here, and they're paramount. anyone, and also look at the Kia Carlberg science, anyone in a leadership position should be taking an MMPI2 test. Period. And cluster B personalities, which almost every single person in power right now is a cluster B personality, and that is the problem. Look at the Kia Carlberg science. Don't take it from me.
You can use all that and start spreading love, wisdom, God, community, feeding people, cleaning the air, cleaning the water. So that was very, very telling to see how these people run this world and who runs this world and why they run the world and what their true intentions are. And I'll tell you this, the more God is put out there, I know for a fact, the light of God, the light of Jesus' love will outshine any dark that's...
Well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation.
Back at it, early AM. Keep going over these important points of our time. It's that important that I want to make this video.
The most powerful nation said, if we want it, we'll take it. No one's ever said that before. Now, they've done it under the guise of ideology. They've made up stories to hide the fact they're doing it. But to say you're doing it implicates everybody else in the crime. You can't say you didn't know. Your president just told you on television, we took out their president because we want his oil. And at that point, you're an accessory to the crime, whether you want to be or not. And it's at that point that a lot of people should have spoken up and said, I'm out. Not that I hate Trump or don't like his entire program. Lots of things about it I love. I'm grateful. I'd maybe vote for him again, but I can't support theft because it's immoral. But they didn't. Maybe some did, but certainly the leaders of the American Christian churches, by and large, said absolutely nothing. And maybe because they said nothing, this accelerated. These are the same people who sort of didn't notice somehow that on Inauguration Day, the president did not take his oath of office with his hand on the Bible. His wife stood next to him holding it. I was about 15 feet away and saw it, but he did not put his hand on the Bible. And that should have been maybe a clue that we need to pause and think about, what is this? Why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible? If you don't believe in the Bible, you think it's just a book, there's no cost to you to putting your hand on it, just kind of following the protocol, going along with the tradition. All presidents do it. Why aren't you doing it?
So on the spectrum of world leaders, we're seeing here that there are some questionable things. Now, when it comes to people who are deceptive and have evil intentions, you're never going to see all the skeletons in the closet, nor their intentions clearly, nor all the bad things that are going on. You're going to see these little tiny surface level slips. And with us, enough of them stack up and you start to say, this is all inauthentic. This may be evil. This may actually be criminal. This may actually be murderous. Where excuses are also given is where there are shady dictators that the people don't want. And those two truths exist in Venezuela and in the Middle East. And what I want you to notice is there might be a flaw that we call out in order to justify our bad actions in this completely bad soup of badness. And it's truly unfortunate that when we come in, we don't have the best intentions either. So it's just kind of like worms on top of each other in the worm can, showing very, very clearly that we need independence and separation from world leadership, which is why I'm continuously showing the nutritional diversity diet and agriculture alternative biopower generation centers complete optimization pamphlet below, outlining many of this, but not being distracted there and continuing to identify the psyop, the psychological aspects of what's going on. I want to jump for a moment over to Maddie from the Anti-Alienation Project. She is a victim of a modern psyop that is happening to way more than 22 million children, but that's the official extremely low estimate right now. But these kids, if the very small percentage, ChatGPT says is 10% of these kids completely figure out that the one person they were supposed to trust the most, their mothers, have been lying to them, and then they become what if you're able to do that, then you've got a real good identification on dishonest behavior pattern structures, and you can see dishonest people much clearly. Amber Heard, Erica Kirk, I can see these two from miles away amongst several other of them because my mother was one of them as well. I haven't always been able to see it. And for a long time, I was even more susceptible to dishonest people than I was to honest people. And I was skeptical of honest people. So I would miss opportunities and I would fall in pitfalls just because of this rewiring. Let's check out what she has to say here.
But you cannot silence an idiot with 50 facts. This one line perfectly captures the tragedy of our age. Because when critical thinking dies, collective stupidity naturally rises. In such a world, everyone is convinced they are right, and everyone else is wrong. Why is critical thinking dying faster in our time than ever before? That is exactly what I will explore in this video. But before we can understand why it is fading away, we need to step back for a moment. We need to ask, when did critical thinking first emerge in human history? What does it actually mean to think critically? After all, you might be thinking a lot, but are you truly thinking critically? So,
Pause. I'm so interested in hearing from you guys. Please leave me a comment right now and let me know what you think critical thinking is. I'm so curious. And then by the end of the video, please let me know if your opinion has changed or not. I guess I would define critical thinking right off the bat as analyzing everything from multiple points of view, including your own thoughts and beliefs.
Critical thinking is more than just thinking a lot. It is the disciplined habit of questioning assumptions, seeking evidence, and applying reason before accepting any belief. In simple words, it is the art of not being fooled by others or by your own mind. Its roots stretch back over 2,500 years to ancient Greece. The philosopher Socrates pioneered a method of probing dialogue now known as the Socratic method. By asking sharp, uncomfortable questions, he exposed contradictions and weak foundations in what people thought they knew.
So I was taught about the Socratic method in high school and in college. And, you know, that's kind of what I do in my day-to-day life is I use the Socratic method and I ask people questions and I, you know, try to get to the truth of the matter. And most of the time these days, people will interpret questions I ask using this method as a direct insult to them, as an attack on them. That's a huge problem. Number one problem I see in society today. People interpret difference of opinion as an attack, as a personal attack, like a violent attack. It's insane. You guys notice that at all?
He reminded us of a timeless truth. The only thing I know is that I know nothing. This humility, admitting ignorance before chasing clarity, is the very foundation of critical thought.
That's an ugly dude. Just gotta say it. That's an ugly dude. But that's very important what he said. I know nothing. And humility is hard to find these days, and maybe that's the reason why we have all these issues. People maybe are interpreting every question or every disagreement as a personal attack because they have this big ego in the way. Is that what's going on?
But Socrates paid the ultimate price for his relentless questioning. In 3999 BCE, he was accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. His insistence on independent thinking threatened the comfort of society, and he was sentenced to death. From there, thinkers like Plato and Aristotle carried forward the torch of reason, building the framework of logic, inquiry, and skepticism. Centuries later, during the Enlightenment, philosophers such as Immanuel Kant called on humanity to rise from ignorance with the
a more real than anyone ever wanted it to be reference in my life is this parental alienation situation. It's actually a perfect reference for everything that's going on in the world, so you can kind of see the analytics between what the government with ill intentions is doing and how the reporting on what they're doing is deceptive, on how we're all kind of alienated children weaponized against each other in this divide and conquer situation. Okay, very quickly, we have some key point unpacking to do. And no matter how violent the storm around us gets, we keep our inner waters calm and make the best decisions. Always. I used to tell people during the housing market crash and years after, look at this video, and I'd look it up on YouTube of Obama putting medals around the necks of the 10 bank presidents involved with that bailout deal, announcing how each one of them were getting $10 million, $100 million in personal bonus money. When the housing market crash started, I was flipping houses out, and I was up early every morning watching all the markets and running a construction crew. And when they came on one day with all the Iraq war type digital advertising type looking imagery on the screen announcing this housing market crash, the one thought I had was, well, you're causing this. You should have not said anything. Now you're going to have nuclear results. And then they did. And then we find out it was this weird thing, right? And you cannot look up that video of Obama putting the medals around those people's necks anymore. At that point, I'm like, man, this guy's actually really the Antichrist or something, because everybody loves him. But look at this shady stuff he's, So I'm sitting there seeing right through it, showing people. They're like, yeah. Right? And the same thing with this Mussini Albert Pike letter of the 1800s. I found out about this a long time ago, and I used to look it up. Now it's been scrubbed. When they're deleting the truth, when they're deleting the truth tellers, then you can start to also use those symptoms as evidence to there's a cover-up. Why is there a cover-up? Because it was shady to begin with. The people that are telling truth about this shady thing, they must be vilified, deleted. They're demons on a subway, banishing knives because they're asking for videos that you said that you had. I'm making a Candace Owens reference, another oracle of our time to be paid attention to. Also unveiling the dark magic, occult, Satanism stuff that the Albert Pike to Mussini letter completely illustrates in plain language. Now, when I found out about this, it was before the anti-fascist movement, which has been now completely chased down to Soros and other big funding players and paid protesters and all this wild stuff. It's the Truman Show, right? This letter says that before it happened. Just like if it was written in the 1800s, it said the word Nazi before they were in control. The predictions are so accurate. And then if it wasn't just the anti-fascism movement that this letter predicted, but this, what we're doing now. And at the end of this letter, it says, at the end of all these staged dispensations, including communism, the people will be so broken and so confused and ready to accept quote unquote Luciferianism, and we will finally implement the plan. This was this 33-degree Mason, the exact body that Candace Owens has buckled down on in the last several episodes. So in this group of Spartan, go-getting, mental tough, physically, metaphysically, physically, completely tough Jedi individuals, we investigate shit. If someone like me says to go look up some stuff on their own and you don't do it, who are you?
Parental alienation occurs when an adult the child trusts, such as a parent, aunt, uncle, or grandparent, negates or denigrates a parent in the child's eyes and unjustifiably interferes with the parent-child relationship, oftentimes resulting in a loving child and parent bond being broken. It has lifetime consequences for children's emotional and mental health. Thousands of children suffer from parental alienation and hostile aggressive parenting. We need your help to protect the innocent. Help raise awareness of this terrible form of child abuse and stop the abuse of innocent children. Learn how you can help at www.paawareness.org.
And of course, the longer it goes, the worse it gets. The longer a child doesn't have contact, the harder it is to reunite that child with the parent.
Some dads say one lie can shatter lives, end relationships with their children, and send them into bankruptcy.
Destroy the family part is happening that no one even notices. No one's noticing it. It's everywhere you look, but you just really don't pay much mind.
Okay, now anyone telling the truth nowadays is going to be ruthlessly attacked. Ruthlessly attacked by two different groups of people. People who are married to the lie and people who are telling the lie. The truth threatens their comfort, just as it was said before. You have got to be strong to see the truth. If there is truth out there and you are living a lie that is very different from that truth, it is because someone intentionally deceived you. All right? You didn't just drift or float. That does happen. That does happen. But today, in these times right now, it's because someone intentionally deceived you. Now, once you find out who that person is, you can really truly kind of analyze further. If you have blind, cohesive loyalty to this person, and they could just do anything, school children, kill tons and tons of people, all kinds of unjustified stuff at the cost of all these crazy people, the Kia Carlberg science, the narcissistic construct, if they're able to just leverage off the backs of all kinds of people, off the lives of all kinds of people, ill, deceptive agendas that do tons of damage to innocent people. Once again, I mean, do you just not draw the line? Is there no line that you draw? Anything goes, right? You're an evil one too. Oh, I didn't know. You should have known. Now it's time for this one here. All right, and this is the important. Here just tells us the power of truth.
Your ability as a poet. Have you had had to work hard at it, or is it just sheer genius?
It comes to me. It comes to me naturally, and I do it mainly because of my fights. Little simple rhymes. I just wrote a poem the other day entitled Truth. It says, "The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last." That's a masterpiece.
Now, did you...
Okay, so as you can see in this letter, almost a mirrored agenda on the past. I found out about this thing a long time ago, and then I was reminded of it about the pandemic. But back in the 9/11 conversations, says this on all crazy on everything. That's the other thing that should make you more skeptical. If they're giving you, oh, don't listen to this. This is okay. Here's what it is, but don't listen. But this is, and it's BS, and this is what. Maybe, but I find it very interesting that it's playing out. I mean, they really want to hijack. They want to let you know the real deeper layer is all this Christian stuff is bogus. That's what they want you to buy. And that's what they've bought. Way at the high up of the deceptive food chain, which is logically out. You know, it's logically abusive from the root. All these people are being fooled. All the way back to the Joker who kills them all right before he jumps into the truck and drives off with all the cash. Master person abuser, people user, deceiver.
All right, time to cast this line. Whoa, got a bite, reeling her in. Yeehaw, look at the size of that trout.